Welcome, everyone. My name is Leanne Jens. I'm the STS National Database Manager for the General Thoracic Surgery Database. We are here today for our General Thoracic Surgery Database monthly webinar / town hall. For our agenda today, we're going to cover just a couple of quick STS updates. We're going to have a quick IQVIA update. And then we are going to turn things over to you all. We're doing something a little bit different for this meeting. We've done this on our last two calls, our last two webinars for the adult database and the congenital database. We had a town hall type format. So once our STS and IQVIA updates are done, we're going to turn things over to you all. And we will be utilizing the raise hand function. So please be sure that your microphone is enabled. So if you have, we would love to hear your feedback from you on the transition. You have any type of feedback for STS, you have feedback for IQVIA. Please let us know. Now is your opportunity to talk to us instead of just perhaps typing your question into the Q&A. Please, we want to have an open dialogue with you and have open communication with you. So please, we encourage you to use that raise hand function, and we'll get through as many folks as we can today. If you're not comfortable speaking and speaking to the entire group, you can also still utilize the Q&A. So you're welcome to type your question into the Q&A function, and we'll answer those as well. So again, we just wanted to provide this opportunity for you all and STS and IQVIA to have an open dialogue. We know this transition has been difficult for everyone. It's been a very bumpy ride, but again, we just wanted to have this opportunity to have an open dialogue and, just ensure that, let you all know that you're being heard, and so that we can continue to have a collaborative relationship and work together to get through all these bumps and hurdles that we've encountered along the way. So again, we hope you do take advantage of today's call to raise your hand and talk, and please, again, let us know your thoughts and concerns, and please provide any and all feedback. We welcome all feedback. Just to give you guys an idea of who's on the call with me today from STS, we have myself, we have Carol Crone, we have Addie Dolan, and Jane Hahn from STS. For our IQVIA colleagues, we have Jeanette, Jean, Paul, Melanie, and Joe and Rhonda. And also from the core group members today, we have joining us, we have Katie Lothrop and Katie Lothrop and Melissa Clark, as well as Ruth Raleigh will be joining us here in a few minutes as well. So we do have a representation from our core group members as well. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. For our quick STS updates, I just wanted to provide this slide. For anyone that was unable to join or make AQO this year, our data managers meeting, that meeting is available for purchase online. You can find out more from our STS Learning Center. You can purchase access to AQO. All of the live sessions were recorded, as well as the on-demand sessions are all available for the next year. So again, if you weren't unable to make it and you still would like to have access to all the information and presentations that were presented at AQO, again, you can purchase that through sts.org via the link that's below that's shown on the screen. If you have any questions about AQO or purchasing AQO access, please feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm happy to get you in touch with the appropriate STS colleagues who can assist you with that. All right, let's see here. Our next STS slide that we have, just wanted to get touch base on a few important updates. Dates for the General Thoracic Database. Of course, today we're having our monthly webinar / town hall. Our next user group call was actually scheduled for December 23rd. I know many of us will be traveling and will be on vacation for the Christmas holiday. So we will be canceling that call due to the holidays for December. Also, our next date that we have, December 31st. I know one of the questions that obviously that everyone wants to know when will the harvest results be available. Just to catch you all up, I know that the results are obviously delayed. Right now, we are shooting to have the spring and fall 2020 analysis results available by the end of December. Full transparency, we will begin our user acceptance testing, our UAT testing for the risk-adjusted dashboard, and the benchmark dashboard will begin next week. It's tentatively scheduled to begin on the 14th. So we will have our beta testers, we'll have our core group members, we'll have surgeon leaders, STS, will all be beta testing the analysis results from the spring and fall 2020 analysis before they are released to everyone. So again, that will be taking place beginning next week. And our beta testers should have gotten an email today from Jane Hahn giving you a heads up about next week and what all to expect. So our beta testers should have received that email today from Jane. Also coming up on January 13th, we have our next General Thoracic monthly webinar, which is scheduled at 1:30 Central Time. And then also coming up in late March, we'll have the General Thoracic public reporting. Also, real quick, I did want to point out just a quick little reminder by December 31st that is the last day to claim your CEs for AQO. So again, please be sure to get your submission to claim your CEs in by December 31st of this year. That's all that I have in regards to STS updates. Next thing, I'm going to turn over to Joe for just a quick IQVIA update, and then we'll get into everyone's questions. So, Joe?
Great, thanks, Leanne. As Leanne said, this is a pretty quick update today. First, just a few platform enhancements that were added in the November release. First of all, for all reports, the height has been expanded to increase the amount of viewing space on the screen. And so that should already be available. And so when you access your reports, you should notice that there's a little bit more room so that you can see more without having to make adjustments or zoom out or things like that. And then also there are some new required fields that were added, I believe on November 21st, that will flag as either critical errors or errors at the time of an upload submission for analyzed procedures. And those are listed out there. There's surgeon NPI, hospital NPI, the data version, the demographics data version, age, vendor ID, and TIN. And so the most of those are going to be critical errors if they're not present in the DAT file you upload. The TIN, not required for non-US participants, but it will give an error message, an error level, not a critical error, but a standard error, the yellow ones. And it's missing, and direct data entry users will be downgrading that to a warning level for direct data entry users in the December release, but that will show up as a warning for those users.
Thank you, Joe. I'm sorry, I just want to jump in real quick. I know I've gotten a lot of emails regarding the surgeon TIN. Is this required? Why is this now being reported? Again, IQVIA did just add the surgeon TIN to the platform for the critical errors and errors. In your previous DQR, surgeon TIN was also included in your percent missing, or included in your table 5, missing data table. But moving forward, the surgeon TIN, is typically used for MIPS. We've been using it for MIPS reporting. However, we are asking participants to please, if you haven't been, to please start collecting this information to capture the surgeon TIN, because the SGS database, is also used for other payments in addition to MIPS. So we're just trying to ensure that our participants, if someone wants to use our database for, surgeon bonuses or, anything in the future moving forward, we want to make sure that we have that information and able to best help our surgeons and our hospitals, receive the payments and the bonuses and those and types of things. So again, we are asking, you don't have to retrospectively go back and collect that data, but at the very least, we're asking you to please start collecting that data moving forward. And just please know, as Joe mentioned, this is just an error. It's not a critical error. So if any records are missing the surgeon TIN, it will not keep those records, that entire record, from being accepted into the database. It's just letting you know that it is missing. So that's all that I wanted to add in on that. So sorry about that, Joe.
No, I very much appreciate you making that clarification. All right, and then just a couple of items that we are looking to include in the upcoming release for December. First, STS 3924. The missing variable report is displaying the patient alive 90 days post-procedure variable as missing when it hasn't yet been 90 days since the surgery date. So we are adding some additional logic to make that make more sense for you and not appear on your report when it shouldn't. And then for direct data entry users, STS 4864, as I mentioned just a moment ago, the validation message for the TIN, the TIN field, will be updated from error to warning level severity. So you should see that change in the upcoming release. And just a final note there that we will, if you do have any tickets that you have mentioned you have brought up that have not been mentioned on today's call, feel free to reach out to IQVIA and we can provide you with updates as necessary. All right, and that's it for me.
Thank you, Joe. Next, we're going to turn things over to Melanie or Rhonda. Do we want to go over these?
Yep.
Carol?
Yeah, we can do it real quick. I know we're short.
Okay.
So yeah, this is the homepage. So when you log in, the homepage, it has been slightly revamped, given some surgeon feedback. So that benchmark report column, you'll see we've moved the first few benchmark reports under a section called Legacy. So that's the only change you'll see there. But that is the homepage when you log in. Next slide.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Just a quick screenshot of how the reports within this are going to look. The first report here, that NIS report, has the table up top and the graph below. This is has two different sections. So the top is discharge mortality, minimally invasive, and then below is the preoperative length of stay, or I'm sorry, postoperative length of stay. So this one's got two graphs and two tables going on, but then the other reports are more similar to what we've been seeing. So that graph table, next slide. Yep, like this. So this will be how you see your star ratings report. The tabular information is up top. Below is that graphical display of that data. So you can see not just the numbers, but visually how those numbers played out within the confidence intervals, the min-max ranges, and how you compared to the STS. Next slide. And this is the underlying details report to some of that data that we've been seeing. So by the different quality domain areas, it gives you those counts of operative mortality, your major complication, and then the different major complications underneath that. And clicking on one of those blue numbers will then retrieve that case list detail and present it below. So that white space at the bottom that you see, if you were to click on one of those blue numbers, the case list would present there for that value. Thank you. Yep. And then just one other report that we're highlighting is that missing data summary. So again, just a tabular display here of your missing variables and that missing percent for the last 3 years, and comparing that to the STS aggregate of the last 3 years. If you click one of the rows, the patient details would show in the bottom. So that's what that white space is there. Yep. So you will have that information for you. And that's all. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Rhonda. And again, we just did a quick, we just had Rhonda do a quick overview. On the last webinar, she did go through a live walkthrough of some of that. So if you do need to, if you would like a more interactive walkthrough, you can go back and listen to the recording from last time. So please feel free to, go back out on the STS website and check out any of those previous webinars. I'm not going to go through all of these remaining slides because I really want to make sure we have ample time and give you all plenty of time to have the opportunity to share any feedback and concerns that you have. So with that, I really actually want to turn things over to you guys now. So please feel free to utilize that raise hand function and ask any questions, provide any feedback that you have. We'd love to hear from you. So please feel free to go ahead and use that if you'd like to speak. If you would not comfortable again speaking with the entire group, just please feel free to put your question into the Q&A and we'll tackle questions that way. I see some people, please, that may be using the chat function to submit your questions. But again, please feel free to, please be sure to use the Q&A function. If you put them in the chat, Carol and I said we always read the questions out of the Q&A function, and that way we also have a record of them and other participants are able to see the questions as they're coming in too. So let's see, a question from Barb. When will training sessions for new risk-adjusted results dashboard be scheduled? Will they be held prior to release on 12/31? I know IQVIA, you have training materials that will go out when we release that. Is that correct? I don't want to misstate anything.
Absolutely.
Are there any type of training materials that will be going out?
This is Jeanette. Yep. So when the report is released, there will also be a training overview, which is posted to the resource library section of the system. So once that link for the report is available, we encourage you to use that. It'll be the GTSD risk adjusted report overview is the most likely name. And that'll give you a step-by-step walkthrough that you can refer to at your convenience. We do also have overviews that, as Leanne has mentioned, were presented in some of these prior calls. We've gotten some feedback from users that, training sessions, not everybody can attend. And if we were to do a recording that people really like being able to look at just sections of something rather than sitting through a whole recording. So we will absolutely have that training overview. It'll be a PowerPoint slide deck available at the time the report is released.
Great. Thank you so much, Jeanette. All right, we have a question coming in from Mary. So Mary, I'm going to unmute you, and you may need to unmute yourself on your end as well before you start. Looks like you're still muted. I don't know, Mary, if you may need to unmute yourself on your end. I still can't hear. All right. While we are working to figure that out, there were some questions that were submitted, and I'm going to go answer a couple of those. One of the questions, I'm sure everyone wants to know, when will the dates for the 2021 spring harvest be released? And we have been working on those, and we are finalizing the dates with IQVIA and DCRI, and those dates should be posted within the next week. So that information will be coming within the next week for the 2021 harvest. Let's see here. I'm not sure. Mary, I've enabled you to talk, but I still can't. It's still showing that you're on mute. So just wanted to let you know. Let's see here. Some additional questions that we've gotten. Is there a way to get the training manual to purchase or rather than printing? And unfortunately, no, the training manual, it's updated monthly. So, and it is available, it's downloadable from the STS website. Obviously, we don't charge for it. If that's not what you meant, please clarify if we misunderstood your question. but it is updated monthly. And I know we've talked about this in previous webinars as well, that, you know, we recognize that that training manual is not very user-friendly. And we will be working to improve that for this next data version that will be released in July of 2021. So that is one thing that I, Carol, core group, surgeon leaders, we will be working to improve that training manual and make it a lot more user-friendly. So if you have any ideas or suggestions on what you would like to see in the new training manual or in the next training manual, please feel free to email those ideas to me. I welcome any and all ideas to help make that training manual better and more useful for our data managers. And in case anyone came in late, I saw we have some attendees pop in a little bit later in the presentation. Obviously, you know, one of the top questions is when will the STS national report be available? And again, as we had talked about, we will be releasing the spring and fall 2020 results, analyses results at the same time. And those results we are working to have them posted and available to our participants by the end of December. And we will begin beta testing with our core group members, our beta testers, our surgeon leaders, STS. We will all begin beta testing next week. All right, let's see here. And in regards to the training manual, they wanted to know if there was a dedicated manual rather than downloading and printing. Again, that manual is the one that we have out on the STS website. And like we stated, it's updated monthly. And then there's also the data specifications that we have available to the data managers that is also located out on the STS website. So the difference between the two, the data specifications versus the training manual. The training manual gives more clarification, intent clarification, and it also answers any questions that we frequently ask questions that we get each month from our data managers regarding how to answer some of those specific variables. So the training manual does go into more detail and provide additional and more specific clarification versus what's in the data specifications. I hope that helps. Our next question, when is the closing date of the current harvest period? So for this current harvest that we're in right now, again, we will be releasing those dates next week, but if my recollection, if I am correct, we are looking at March. So I think it was around, I don't know the specific date, I want to say mid-March, but just to give you an idea of what we're looking at. So, so just to know that we will be posting and releasing the 2021 harvest close dates here next week, within the next week. All right, I don't see any additional questions. Again, I don't see any hands up if anyone wants to speak. Again, please feel free to share your concerns, I know, and your thoughts. You know, good feedback, critical feedback, we're here for it. We're here to hear from you all. We know it's been a frustrating process, a frustrating transition for us all. It's been very challenging. So we just want to give you the opportunity to express you know, your thoughts and concerns. What can we do better? What moving forward? What types of things would you like to see? If there's certain things that's in the platform that aren't in there now, some future enhancements that you would like to see, please let us know. What would you need to help make your job easier? You know, please feel free to let us know these things. We want to be able to give you everything that you all need to get your job done in an effective manner. So again, please let us know your thoughts. Carol, Jane, did you all have anything you wanted to add or convey to the group?
No, I know you did a great job, Leanne, and the questions that came in were good. We would just really like to hear from people if they're having difficulty so we can help them through it. And we have IQVIA here with us. So if you have anything you'd like to share, like to talk about, or just you need to vent about something, you know, we want to hear it so we can make changes or make adjustments. We don't do your job, and we can't see what you're doing. So we make a lot of assumptions in the platform when we're doing things. And if it's not what you need or not what you want, or something could be done differently. Those are things that we need to hear. We do loop in the core group members and some lead database abstractors who helped us with some of these processes. But at the end of the day, everybody has a different job. Everybody does things a little bit differently. So we may have not thought of something that was important to a large group of people. And so we need to hear those things so we can really help you with that. And any outstanding tickets that you have that, we can ask IQVIA to check into, or anything like that. I see one question in there if you'd like to take it, Leanne, but
Sure,
I'm glad everybody joined
absolutely.
today and, was able. And I'm just wondering, we have a half hour left. So Melanie, would you want to do any type of live demo so we can use people's time wisely, or what would you like to do?
I mean, we can do the demo. We could go through and take a look at the GTSD
Okay.
risk
Sure.
adjusted. I know Rhonda did the overview of the screen slides, but if we do have time, we could go through and look at that real time.
Yeah, I think that would be
Yeah,
great. We could
sure.
do one question in the Q&A and then do that if that's good for you, Leanne. I didn't mean to
Sure.
direct.
No,
Okay.
it's absolutely fine.
Okay.
So our one question that we have so far is actually a suggestion for the new training manual. It says, please indicate for each post-op event if it applies to that admission only or the entire 30-day post-op period. So thank you. We will definitely take that back. I don't know if Katie or Melissa, or if anyone from the core group wants to add anything about the training manual or your thoughts on how to improve it. Please feel free to chime in at any time. So, but thank you very much. And again, I'm looking at any and all ways to help improve that training manual for you guys to make it more useful. All right, I'm not seeing any hands raised or any additional questions coming in yet. So Melanie, Rhonda, if you guys want to share, I can stop sharing and we can do a walkthrough of that risk adjusted dashboard.
Sure.
Okay, and just so you know, someone just asked, can you do a demo on the drill down into patient level data for the major complications on the GTSD risk adjusted dashboard?
So we won't really be able to demo drill downs to
Right.
patient information because that's patient information and that's protected. So we
Right.
can tell you there will be a demo or a drill down. And that's frankly all we're going to be able to show, really, unless Rhonda, you feel differently.
Yeah, no, I mean, on this test environment, there's 2 loaded, so it doesn't align with the number, but I can just show that, this is what will happen. But don't pay attention to the number being off because it is our test environment and we don't have that kind of stuff loaded here. Just very minimal data enough to test with. So
Great. And you're good to share your screen, Rhonda. I stopped sharing.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully everything just went black.
That's okay.
Is my screen
I can
up?
see it.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Okay. So as I was describing earlier, when we saw the screenshot, when you log in, you are taken to the landing page where you have the entryway into all of your reports that you used to get in that big paper packet. And so what I had called out earlier was that under benchmark reports, we saw these and this plus this reports listed there. And after we demoed this with the surgeon leadership, they had suggested that we move some of these older legacy type reports down here into the legacy report area. And that way these areas that are of more importance to us are called out up here and more attention is raised to those. And then, down here are the legacy ones. So again, logging in, you're taken to this page. And so then you could start stepping into the different reports. I'll go through the lung cancer reports here because as you see the composite rating details, clinical staging procedures, these reports are the same across the esophageal cancer reports. So what you see here will be the same here, just with the exception of it's esophageal cancer rather than the lung. We have the other reports, which is that missing data summary, the number of operations, primary procedure. So those are the other reports. And then again, our benchmark reports. So starting with this first report here under lung cancer, this was that comparison that we had for the participant and the STS to the NIS group. And so what you'll see here in the top section is the discharge mortality and the minimally invasive lobectomy for clinical stage 1 lung cancer. So those two domain areas are graphed up here, or the table up top, and then the graph is right underneath it, so that you can not only see your numbers tabularly, but then again get that visual representation. And the slider bar is here so that you can focus in on where those values fall, because as you can see, we had such a wide confidence interval and min and max ranges that it was hard to see exactly where the participant fell relative to STS and NIS. So as we start moving that slider bar, you're able to get more, to focus more in on those numbers that aren't immediately obvious when we first enter the report. Below here is the postoperative length of stay in days. So this is graphed separately from the top section, because here we're looking at days and we're looking at that median and the quartile 1 and 3. So, but similar concept, you have the table up top where you can get your tabular numbers, and then the graph below that shows that visual representation of the table above it. There's a legend included here just in case it's not immediately obvious what every area represents. And so that will align with your hover text as you hover on top of it. So again, similar concept here with the table up top. So this is our composite quality rating report. And so we see our 3 domains with the star rating, and then the participant scores, and then the STS scores, and the STS min and max ranges, along with the 25th, 75th percentiles and that median value. And so what is in the table above, again, is represented right below in this visual representation. So again, you can, there is a slider bar. I do have it already. I was messing around in here before I started sharing. So again, you have the ability to slide in and get a better idea of how your values fell once you start zooming in. You can grab the slider bar and move it around like this too. If you are in another graph where that may be a benefit to scroll that way, but you do have that option once you've set a range to use that range and slide around with it. As you hover over, it tells you, so this dark blue area is my 95% confidence interval. I can see that the participant and STS values both fell in that interval. This is my max range. This is my min range. So you do have that hover text that guides you. And then the values here, you have hover text so not only do you visually see where you fell, but you can quickly see what that number is if you hover over the lines. So that hover text is there. If you wanted to, let's say when we first came in, and this is kind of smushed up, we don't really get a good grasp of what's going on in here. So I set my slider bar, and now let's say I want to share this with a team member. What I can do is, once this is set, if I were to hit the print button on the home page, it would print out with that zoom. And there's a note here even regarding that, but it would print out with that zoomed in experience. So that way you can share visually what you were seeing in the application. So getting to the details report, we do have the counts by the different areas. It's highlighted blue so that indicates that it is something that we can click on and drill down to. And so I can click on this. And again, I since it's test, we don't have good data in here. So that's why you're only seeing 2, but clicking on that and then going down here would have given you all 10 that met the pneumonia criteria. And similarly, we have one for a pulmonary, and I will mess the word up, so I'll just say pulmonary.
Embolus.
Okay, embolus. Okay. And so on and so forth. So each one of these areas, if there's a value there, you can click and drill down and get the information below. Clicking anywhere out of the table will take that information away. So if you've clicked on this and you do have the patient drill down displaying, when you hit print, that will export in your export. So you will want to be very careful if you're not trying to export patient details, to make sure that you've clicked out and you've removed that drill down list. Another way to do it is to exit the report and come back in. If you find that maybe clicking around isn't working for you, just exiting the report and coming back in also resets it. So
Excellent.
yeah.
Yeah, we've got a question from Chris. Chris raised her hand, so I'm gonna unmute her. Or Chris, if you unmute yourself on your end, you should be able to go ahead and speak.
I got it. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thanks, Rhonda. Can you go to that first report that you were looking at? Is it a test environment? Because I'm just first of all, my question is participant N, what is that N representing?
Okay, so answer to your first question is yes, this is a test environment.
Okay.
So this is test data. The N is your population that met the criteria for what this NIS report is looking at. So for discharge mortality, there's a certain set of criteria that would include a patient into this population. And so that's what this N is that we have 6 people that met the discharge mortality criteria. Similarly, the 4 is
Right. But how is that different from number of patient?
So that is whom had so in this case, 0 actually had discharge, had a mortality. So this is like your eligible population.
Okay, so that's a denominator.
Right, exactly.
Got it.
Exactly. Numerator and denominator. Better said, yes.
Now, if you scroll down to the second section, where it was like length of stay, I think. So you're saying that this is not live data because I'm looking for the STS median of 30. So
yeah. That
okay.
is not right.
So
yes, that's data. Right.
Got it. Okay, I'm done. Oh, no, I did have one other question.
Okay.
Is it common on some of your scales, the highest number is to the right, some of the scales, the lowest number to the left, or the highest number to the left? Is that based on whether it's good to be high or good to be low?
You got it. Yep.
Okay.
So we try to keep it consistent with this note. Yep. You got it.
It just takes some thought process to remember that, when you're looking at the numbers. Okay. Thank you. I got it.
Cool. No problem. Thank you. Good questions. All right. Thank you for that. So then moving on to our clinical staging procedures. So this graph here is we're introducing a new concept with having, so down below we have the table of the different areas. So your clinical staging done, the methods, the total number of lymph nodes sampled, your lung CA resection. And what we have up here is, so you don't just have to digest the numeric values, and it's hard to see trends, and we're showing 3 years, but how did our numbers really move across those 3 years? And so what we have here is the ability to pick a section down here and actually have it graphed above for you, so that now not only am I looking at the numbers down here, but I'm seeing how visually how those numbers played out in a graph. And we have the legend here that shows it's the 3 years of my site, and then the red is the 3 years aggregate for the STS. And so you can, for each one of the items that we display below, you have the option of picking that in the graph and getting that visual display to kind of help pop out things that anomalies or, things that you may not necessarily see buried in the numbers. There's
Brenda,
also,
do you want to show the
Sure.
slider bar? Oh, did you just do it?
it was accident, but I'm going to do it
Yeah,
now.
thank you.
No problem. And so again, these slider bars here. So let's say I just want to focus in on certain areas. And also, actually, let me call out. So within Spotfire, there is a smart functionality to do every other number, or it figures out the best display for numbers. So that way you don't get a jumbled mess. But those numbers do start appearing if you move your slider bar and you start focusing in. So now you can see that I can see the numbers now here on top of these different graphs, and then continuing to bring this in will make that adjustment. And so you have that ability to slide this way. And then as I was showing, if you wanted to move, maybe we're more interested in, laparoscopy or needle biopsy. So you can slide this slider bar once you have it set. You also have the ability to, these numbers down here that are kind of small, like let's say this was 2% or something else that we wanted to see, you can slide this way and get more focused into those numbers. Given that they're 0, we won't see a lot of movement there, but that is what the intent of this is. If you don't enjoy sliding up and down to reset, you can right click on it and reset that way, and that will reset you back to the original display. The other thing that we have here is when you click on a value, that and something that we're working on, because the way we get the data in, it's hard to separate out by year each of the values. That's something still under construction. But for now, what you will see is you can click on a number and it will take you to this row. So it will return all of the years, patients, so that even though I'm clicking on the one, I will get all of these 3 years returned in that patient list. And then clicking the See Details button is what takes you there. And then clicking this is what takes you back to your graphs. So you do have drill down capability in this report, and we are working to refine that to make it a little more that we can segment by years. But for now, what you'll see is that when you click a row, you'll get the drill down for all of the incidents for the participant across the 3 years. Going to now the combined morbidity mortality for lung cancer. So this report here, we're looking across these three domains for lung cancer. And what you'll see here, we're introducing so before we're looking at the confidence intervals, those risk adjusted rates, but here we're looking at the standardized incidence ratio, and we're comparing that from the participant to the STS. And so what you'll find here is that these ratio values, that's what we are graphing in the table, in the graph below. So this is around that standardized incidence ratio, with also providing for the participant that unadjusted rate and the risk adjusted rate. So you have your unadjusted, risk adjusted, that 95% confidence interval for your risk adjusted rate. But then also now we have these standardized incidence ratios, the confidence interval for that ratio. And then for the STS, the min and max ranges, your 25th, 75th percentile, and that median. And so these are the values that we are graphing below here. And so as you can see, STS, which usually for these type of calculations, the STS incidence ratio is about 1.0, so you'll see that. But again, same concept where you have your confidence interval range, you have the min and the max ranges. And like it was called out earlier. So in this example, better than expected is towards the left. And so it's more ideal to be closer to 0 here in this case. And along with that graph, we also have the details for that, the morbidity, mortality for lung cancer here. And again, with a similar concept, it's clicking the value to return the case list below. And then clicking out will remove that case list for you.
Rhonda, we've got a question in the Q&A about the, is something the same as the O to E? Could you just show where the O to E is visible? It's in a couple different spots. So Margaret, we do have it in here. We'll just need to double check on exactly which section that's in.
I'm sorry, what are you looking for?
The observed to expected. But Rhonda, I think that we just don't know that off the top of our heads. So we'll get back to you on that, Margaret.
It should be in the risk adjusted.
Sorry, Rhonda, you're on mute. I don't know if you're explaining anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I was.
It should be under the composite rating details.
So, I'm sorry, let me go back to you. So what we show here for the composite quality rating is the score and the confidence intervals. And then in the ratings detail is the counts for those. But that observed to expected rate.
If you scroll down, is there anything on the detail screen?
No, this is
Then it should be in the benchmark report when we receive them back, right?
the benchmark.
We should have the observed to expected rates available.
Yeah, let me look into that one and figure out. I'll get back to you and provide a screenshot around that, because I'm in this environment here. I may not be able to put my finger right on it.
Yeah.
So I'm just taking a note real quick.
Yeah. Susan just asked, what is incidence? What exactly is the incidence ratio? Does incidence equal observed instance?
Yeah. So
yeah, somebody wants to know what is the definition of incidence ratio?
Yeah, let me just real quick, while we're all on together.
We have the confidence interval, which is a 95% confidence interval, which when we do the risk calculation, they figure out the 95th percent and they go 5 above and 5 below, which is, for example, the operative mortality. It's 1.95 to 0.60. That is the 95%, 5 above, 5 below. And then it's different than the observed to expected ratio, which is observed to expected. If you have an observed to expected ratio of 1, that means you're equal to the STS, which is considering that your average. If your observed to expected is less than 1, that means you're doing better than expected. And if your observed to expected is greater than 1, that means you're doing worse than expected. So they're two different things.
Right. Well said. And then I just, in one of the last documents that we got, the paper report, it has it spelled out here for us of what that standardized incidence ratio represents. So it's a ratio of the participant's true rate of the outcome of interest according to the model divided by the outcome rate that would be expected for a hypothetical average center with the same case mix. So that is the standardized incidence ratio. And this is all of that information that would be available in the library once this report rolls out. So you will still have access to these type of interpretations to answer those kind of questions.
Are these posted now, Rhonda?
I don't.
I don't think we have the analysis overview posted yet, Carol. We can follow up separately on that.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome, thank you. So yeah, so lastly, getting down here to that risk-adjusted outcomes. So again, across the two domains, the operative mortality and the major complication, we can see here our unadjusted rate, the risk-adjusted rate, and how we compare to the STS tabularly, and then again in the table below. Sorry, I just had my mouse all. This one, I'm in a test environment. This one looks like it may have got, I might need to look into this one. So yeah, okay. But this is that risk adjusted outcome. So this is here for the lumpectomy and then also for the esophagectomy area. Under other reports, I'm going to jump over here to the other reports section and just kind of highlight what some of these other reports are. So one of the other reports is this number of operations submitted, the discharge mortality and the operative mortality by year. So we have the most recent year and then the last 3 years for the participant and the STS. And then again, as we see here with the blue highlight, we can click and drill down to that participant number and see the underlying data that made up our, in this case, number of operations, if there was mortalities, number of eligible by the different areas. You do have that drill down capability here as well. And this is that all of the primary procedures for a given participant that by the different organ areas. So this is that many page report that gives you the different primary procedures, the incidence, your operative mortality, the number of eligible procedures, and then that percent for both the participant and the STS. And then last but not least is the benchmark reports. And so I'll go through an example of one, the excision of mediastinal mass or cyst. So once you click on one of the areas, it will open up the benchmark homepage. So we have these different areas that we can go into by using the buttons here, or once I'm within one, I can just navigate using my next button here. And so what we see now with our benchmark reports is similar to the graph I just showed for the clinical staging methods. So we have a table up top and then your tabular view below. And so anything that's available, anything that's displayed in the table, you can, using the drop down up top, toggle between those and get the graphical representation of that data. And once you're within one of the reports, by hitting next, you can navigate across those different areas so that you don't have to go back out and access it from the homepage each time, just saving those clicks for you. So again, next through, and then you also have the ability to, within this report by year. So if I wanted to, let's say I had a value here for unexpected return to the OR, if I were to click this value and then click see details, I would have retrieved for that year. So for 2017, I'm sorry, not 2017, 2019. I don't know where I just got that from. So had I clicked on that and gone there, I would have seen for oh yeah, because I clicked on 2017. I'm so sorry. But you would have seen the number for 2017 alone. So the other graph that I mentioned where If you click on a row, it's all 3 years patients. This graph here, we were able to accomplish because of how the data is coming in, breaking it out by year. So you can, clicking on just 17 or 18 or 19, retrieve the patient details for just that year, that row. So that is slightly different than the other report in here. And we are working to get the other report to be in line with this one. But in the meantime, your benchmark report, you can click on the individual columns and retrieve those patient lists separately like that. There is 2 home buttons you'll notice on the benchmark reports, because we not only have the option to go back to your main homepage, but if you wanted to quickly navigate to another area in the benchmark reports, you would have been able to, go to, by clicking that, you would have been able to get back to that homepage. That gets us through the benchmark reports, and each one of these reports are similar to the one I just displayed. So you'll have the same functionality, all of that same stuff going on within each one of these other reports. Finally, what I would like to show is the export to PDF button here. And what this export to PDF button does is, once I click that, it will generate all of the different pages of this report. So it'll generate all of the quality ratings, ratings details, your benchmark reports, pretty much that whole packet of charts and graphs that we saw will get printed out into this one PDF. And once it completes, it will open, and I can just quickly show you here. You have the cover page, and then it jumps right into the reports. And this is now in PDF, and I can save this and share it with team members, or, keep it for myself to look at later. But you do have the ability to print the whole thing out in one shot. Maybe it's easier to even view the whole report this way, so that you don't have to use the buttons to navigate to all the different places. You can just snap it off to a PDF and scroll through it that way. So just another option there. In addition to that export, we do have a PowerPoint. So if you choose your export to PowerPoint, you can export, and we'll have best practices there, but you can export all pages. We would just want for you to take off these things because they clutter the page. But just by making that selection of all pages and OK, this will also export to PowerPoint. Were there any other questions? Yep. Okay.
No, Rhonda, we just wanted to clarify on the STS side regarding the O to E ratios. The thoracic report for those models, for those risk models, we've always reported that SIR, the standard incidence ratio. We've not reported O to E ratios in the thoracic reports. So just to further clarify. And
Okay.
then also, someone had a question. They wanted to know what is NIS, and I think Katie wanted to address that question. Katie, I didn't know if you wanted to weigh in. You might have to unmute yourself to talk.
Hi. I didn't mean to
Hi.
hit that, but I can.
Oh, okay.
But I can answer it. It's the National Inpatient Sample is what that stands for. So.
Right. Great. Thank you.
No problem. And I just brought up the blurb about that right here. So the NIS.
Oh, perfect. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rhonda.
No problem.
Yeah. So, yep. And the NIS, there you are, all of this information is in that report overview. So that will, is posted within the library section. Great. Thank you so much, Rhonda.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah. I was going to say, no, I was just looking for additional questions. I don't see anything. I didn't know if you had anything else you wanted to point out, or feel free to elaborate on. I think we've got, actually, we're at time. It's 3:30. That was great. Before we leave, did anyone have anything they wanted to to share or elaborate on before we head out?
No, great call, Leanne. And
All right.
thank you so much, everybody. And thank you,
Yeah, thank you.
Melissa, for joining.
Yeah, everyone, again, thank you so much for joining. We appreciate it. We hope, you know, you enjoyed. We'll be doing more of these town halls as we move forward. So again, you know, we encourage you to bring your feedback to the table and please communicate with us and let us know what's working, what's not working. And I guess, you know, Carol stated earlier, we definitely want to make this platform available for you all and what works best for you. So we need to know what you guys need and what you like, what you don't like. So again, please, you know, communicate with us in IQVIA. And we thank you all for your support and patience during this transition. If we don't hear from you all before the holidays, we hope you guys have a great holiday season. And someone raised their hand real quick. Well, before we head out, I want to make sure I answer this question. Hold on just one second. So I apologize. Oh, I think they lowered their hand. I don't see hand raised now. Okay. But again, thank you guys for all joining today. We appreciate it. We hope you guys have a great night. Thank you, IQVIA, STS colleagues. I appreciate your help. And core group members, thank you guys so very much. I appreciate it. I hope you guys all have a great night.
Thanks, Leanne.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.